You are going to spend 1/3 of your life working. And there's just really no way around that. And that actually might increase as we move into a space where the formula of our lives change, where people are working for longer during their life. Whether or not you are happy at work will drastically have an impact on whether or not you are able to interact with people in a way that makes you happy. That becomes incredibly difficult where when you work, you become a different person, where you have an expectation within yourself that the way in which you have to be able to function at work is somehow segregated or changed from the way in which you would be at home. So in other words, you are wearing a mask for 1/3 of your life. This course is an attempt for that to no longer have to be a part of the way in which you operate. The way in which you get to be is never changing. Obviously, you adapt in your personality, and as you get to understand yourself better, you will grow. But there is a difference between growing and changing. Adapting is something that we will all be doing, but changing for another person or for an environment is actually just going to get into the mind space that you have, because you only have so much. Right? If you're constantly thinking about, here comes German, I've got to be this way because of German, the reality is that that's getting in the way of you actually getting on with the work that you need to be doing. So, in fact, being more authentic is somehow related to your capacity as a professional. Because if you are more concerned about the way in which others will perceive you, it makes it incredibly difficult to focus on the work that you need to be doing. The reality is that, in fact, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make you aware of the complexity that makes being authentic difficult, the challenges, and why it's important. But in fact, the reason why I believe that living more authentically is a better way of living or working is because it just is simpler. It doesn't get in the way. And there is a way in which to operate where you can remain kind and gentle and strategic in the way in which you operate that doesn't detract from who you are as an individual, because that would be a horrible way to spend 1/3 of your life. So we've talked about this idea of never changing, yet we also kind of talked about this idea of adaptation. So once you become okay with not creating a separation between how you are at home and how you are in the office and in your work life, what you'll find is that you'll become significantly more aware of the way in which you operate and how you react to the world around you. And what you'll find is that you have questions. You'll ask yourself, why did I react like that? Not why did they react to me like that? Because when you're constantly worried about the perceptions of other people, you are worried about them. You're not thinking about yourself. When that shifts, when that changes, you have questions. And what you're going to find is that if you are self-aware, if you are living authentically, that you'll be able to take stock. You will be able to look at the story of your life within context at all times. And the changes or the growth that you will find will be from how you have lived and what has happened to you in your past, and how those patterns, how those instances find its way into very small parts of the way in which you react to the world. Because that is how our mind operates. It remembers, it creates patterns. And if we aren't aware of how we are reacting to the world, we will forever be stuck in those same patterns. Living authentically allows us to unlock or kind of shake that loose, to be able to become more aware of the context of what it means to be who we are, and that we can make better choices, and that we can live a more integrated life where you can think about what it meant to be in high school. You can think about what it meant to be in your 20s and how your decisions shaped who you are today. So yes, you're continuously educating your authenticity. It is a story that is constantly unfolding and unraveling at the same time. When I say unraveling, I mean it in a good way. Because once you allow things to become loose and aware, and you can you can watch yourself, what happens is that you are more in control of the way in which you react because you understand where it's coming from. One of the big shifts that's happened recently is the fact that people who have formed part of the baby boomers, so anyone who's 38 and above now, they are struggling to understand anyone younger than them because the millennial shift really had an impact in the way in which our society operates. The way in which my generation, being a millennial, thinks about interacting, thinks about what it is that we want and how we make decisions and how we value what's important to us is significantly different from the way in which baby boomers operated. What you are going to find is that there will be people who are significantly more comfortable being authentic than you might be. You'll find that people really struggle to be authentic compared to the authenticity that you can exhibit. So we are living in an age where there are different levels of self-acceptance on a grand scale, because obviously every individual is different. But I think that if you think about it generationally, things have changed. For us to really be able to extrapolate and explore this, we need to understand how technology and communication has made our level of acceptance and patience for things that don't feel real prevalent. So what I mean by that is the way in which our media, the way in which our technology, the way in which how we communicate has changed, has the bandwidth that we have for things that don't feel true has become significantly smaller for a lot of us. And for us to be able to operate professionally with these people and to be able to share our message with the people who we are trying to give value to, our customers, we need to understand that transparency and authenticity should be pillars of your organization or the way in which you work as an individual professional. It is important because times are changing. I promise you, when it comes to Generation Z, everything is going to change again. But the one constant will be, if you are not true to yourself, if you do not speak the truth, if you do not mean what you say, you will be losing customers and you will have a significantly larger difficulty. When I think about human psychology, the thing that I sometimes have to remind myself is that inherently we are risk averse. We are change averse. We don't like things being unpredictable. One of the things that, I look up to Tony Robbins. He said that our mind is not designed to make us happy. Our mind is designed to keep us safe, which means that any potential threat in our changing environment that we feel could be a threat is something that we will be aware of. But the reality is that actually, if we think about our everyday lives, we are in no way really running from tigers or having to hunt our prey. We live very comfortable lives. So the sensitivity of that awareness of what actually gets us scared, of what gets to us, of what irritates us, of what we wish wasn't the case. All of these little changes are because these are now becoming threats to our sense of happiness, of our sense of well-being. So what you'll find is that there are a lot of people who still struggle today being themselves, showing themselves, taking the risk of being seen. If we look at what are we really scared about, one of the top fears that we still have today is what I'm doing right now, public speaking. We are incredibly scared of being seen because we are very scared of judgment because no one wants to feel guilty, no one wants to feel shame. Those are very human things. For us to understand how to be more authentic, we need to understand the challenges inherent in that, especially when it comes to our working life. We need to understand that when we allow ourselves to be consistent, when we allow ourselves to have sincerity and integrity, I think that what that means is that our decisions become more concrete because they are more meaningful. But also it means that we stand out as an individual and that we will make other people potentially uncomfortable when you are representing something that either they wish they could do or you're rubbing them up in a way that makes them more aware of what they're struggling with. Or It might be that they just don't like you, which is also okay. You're not going to be a fan. No, everyone's not going to be a fan of who you are. We hide behind norms and ways of thinking that seems mainstream, or there's a normal way of working or of being at work that we hide behind to avoid these uncomfortable moments. But the reality is that if we learn to manage those moments with care, grace, being gentle, they actually become potentially transformative for the people around us. So if you're a team leader, if you are in a place where you feel entirely comfortable with who you are and you don't ever change for the people around you, and that your character is reliable, what you will find is that you're empowering the people in your group, in your team, to be able to do the same. So the challenges can be overcome when we feel comfortable and we lead with being gentle and being graceful, when there is a potential small personality conflict and how we navigate that. And we could potentially move that into a space of teaching. So that's what I'm hoping to cover. I'm hoping to cover the value, the way in which living authentically, working authentically aids you in the kind of decisions that you'll be able to make, and how you can explore this ongoing conversation with yourself, and how your past finds its way into your present when it comes to how you react. And then to also talk about the challenges that might be inherent in you entering into this new phase of your working life as a more authentic, centered you.